What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some of my battles during an 18-game win streak I had in the Open Ultra League running Enamorus, which is the most attack-weighted fairy-type Pokemon in the entire game. So now that Fairy Wind deals 1 extra damage, you can really feel that damage increase. Now I do want to mention that I did only go on an 18-game win streak because yesterday I had a really rough time on stream. I lost a ton of games, and even though I don't have an ELO yet, there is still a hidden ELO system as you approach rank 20, which meant that I was facing lesser skilled opponents. But don't worry, there are still plenty of entertaining battles that really showcase what Enamorus can do in the current meta, and also the backline is a little bit random, but basically I just wanted to use some newly buffed Pokemon, and I saw that both Yonkus and Home-Sized Henry put out fighting double poison teams yesterday, so I thought might as well try and counter those. I actually didn't see either of those teams that were showcased, but obviously it still worked out for me in the end, as I did go on an 18-game win streak. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the most underrated buffed Pokemon in the Ultra League this season? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, setting into the first battle lead, Enamorus into Dragonite. This is the dream lead for us, of course, going to double resist the typical moveset of Dragon Claw and Superpower. The opponent's going to swap out into Feraligatr, but we've got so much loaded energy, going straight for the Grass Knot, dealing huge damage there. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get the full Fairy Wind farm down before they make it to a Hydro Cannon, so I throw the fly there. The opponent lets Feraligatr go down, and they come in with a Tapu Fini. So you can see my backline looking pretty useless up against this team right now. We bait with the fly there. Of course, we did just land a Grass Knot, so expecting to grab the shield. I'm not going to shield this. The opponent goes for Nature's Madness, and they're actually able to snipe with the Dragonite. Honestly, I did not expect Crocodile to go down that easily, but of course, not the bulkiest Pokemon ever. But now we're actually in a pretty decent position here, as the opponent comes back in with the Dragonite, and because these Fairy Winds are dealing more damage this season, I can just double shield here. Of course, these are double resisted charge moves, but I can go for a full Fairy Wind farm down, and I will come out with 2 Grass Knots loaded, so I can fire off the first one. This should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, but I will reach Grass Knot number 2 before they get the Water Gun farm down, and from this range, Grass Knot gets the KO up against the Tapu Fini, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next battle, see Enamorus into Clefable. So battle of the Fairy Wind users, of course. Enamorus is a very glassy Pokemon, so I don't expect us to win this matchup, and especially if the opponent is running something like Meteor Mash, then we've got no chance. But honestly, even if they go for a Swift here, that'd probably do quite a lot of damage, but they do full send the Moonblast, so at this point, I'm going to fire off a fly just before they make it to the next Moonblast, and then I will actually swap into my Gigalith eventually to catch the charge move. Now, of course, if I swapped into Crocodile, we'd probably get one shot by the Moonblast, so we definitely don't want to swap there, but we swap into the Gigalith, and we actually bait out a Cobalion, which typically would be very bad for us, but since we're running Mud Slap and we can go for a Superpower there, dealing super effective damage, it's not that bad for us. We do grab the final shield. Unfortunately, I don't think we quite put them into fly range here, and of course Cobalion probably going to be running either Stone Edge or Iron Head. Well, I mean, those are the only 2 options, I believe, other than the Sacred Sword, so going to be running one of those. They go for the Stone Edge there, we can go for a fly, and I'm just going to snipe with the Crocodile. We get the snipe before they can react in time, and we do get that Mud Slap farm down. They're going to come in with a Shadow Feraligatr, so of course, not a great matchup for us, but we are going to resist the Shadow Claw damage. They have to go for the Hydro Cannon to take us out, and they don't overfarm by that much, which is actually perfect for us. Hydro Cannon will get the KO. I know Clefable is fairly close to a charge move, so I can't overfarm by much, but I do overfarm just slightly, and this will mean that I can make it to another fly up against the Shadow Feraligatr. Don't need to go for the Grass Knot this time around. Fly from this range will get the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next battle, see Enamorus into Greedent. So this is actually a pretty good matchup for us. I've actually seen in the Great League some Greedent running both Trailblaze and Crunch and just opting to just fully drop Body Slam. If that's the case in this matchup, then that would be amazing, because of course we will resist both the Crunch and the Trailblaze. They do go for the Crunch there, which is very interesting. Not sure if that means they're not running Body Slam or if they were just trying to fish for a debuff there, but they do actually go for the Body Slam this time around. That's still okay. We can live that, not super comfortably, but they're not going to be able to go for a Mud Shot farm down, so I'm going to fire off the fly. Fly gets the KO there, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come in with a Feraligatr, so once again, firing off the Grass Knot. Grass Knot connects, it nearly one-shots them. We snipe with the Crocodile, and the opponent just concedes the match. I don't know what was in the back, but probably not very good up against a Mud Slap user, so they just concede there. But GG's to that trainer. Into the next battle, we're going to see a wing attack Charizard. So of course Charizard going to be slightly slower to make it to the charge moves this season with wing attack. You could opt to run Fire Spin as the fast move, and whilst the energy generation isn't that great, it does of course deal more damage this season. But we're going to swap Make a Catch, but unfortunately met with a Venusaur, and it looks like the opponent's probably just going to commit a shield and then go for a huge Vine Whip farm down, which is why my worst nightmare here, as Venusaur unfortunately does core break the team, especially with such a significant energy advantage. So we're going to come back in with the Enamorus. I'm going to shield this here, and then I will try and catch a resisted Sludge Bomb onto my Crocodile, and we swap, we make the catch. Is this the Sludge Bomb though? Let's find out. It is the Sludge Bomb. That is resisted damage. The opponent is going to bank a ton of energy on the Venusaur, swapping back into Charizard. I probably should have just gone for the crunch there, but I go for the break. Break doesn't get the KO, but we still get the Mudslap farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. Are they going to come back in with the Venusaur? No, they come in with the Shadow for Alligator, so I'm going to go and fire off the crunch straight away. Crunch is going to be no shielded. That does big damage, and it drops their defense, and that is absolutely huge for us, because now I can actually commit to a full Mudslap farm down. We get the farm down before they make it to the charge move. I believe Venusaur does have a charge move loaded now, so we go for the crunch. Crunch does big damage. We're going to swap into Enamorus, and the opponent does react in time. They go for the Sludge Bomb, but I'm barely able to hang on, living one Vine Whip, getting the Mudslap farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into the next battle, we see a Typhlosion in the lead. So I'm going to go for one Fairy Wind, then swap into my Crocodile. And the opponent does farm up to a potential Blast Burn. They're probably going to bait here. They do bait, and that is very unfortunate, as Thunder Punch is double resisted by the ground typing, but it's okay. We should be able to grab a shield back from the opponent if they commit to a full farm down here, and we go for the crunch. We drop their defense, which is very nice. This next crunch will do a lot of damage here. The opponent does know they can live it though, so they let that go through, and unfortunately it means we actually don't get that much farm on my Enamorus. Maybe I should have undercharged that, just because they can't really do anything up against us unless they're running like Hyper Beam or Hurricane. They go for a Dragon Claw. You can see that does very little damage. We actually get the farm down before they even make it to a second Dragon Claw there. Not that it really matters too much, but now we can fire off a Fly into Typhlosion coming back in, and then I will be swapping into my Gigalith here, trying to catch a Thunder Punch. Either way, they're going to throw, and this should just be a Thunder Punch. Blast Burn at the worst, but that's still resisted. But they're going to come in with a Water Gun Shadow Swampert, so of course, didn't really expect to see this. Unfortunately, it will allow them to fully farm us down here, but not before we make it to the Superpower. Superpower does get them low, and actually, because Fairy Wind deals more damage this season, I should just about be able to go for a full Fairy Wind farm down, coming up with a charge move loaded. I'm going to throw straight away. They're not at a charge move yet, but Fly will take them out from this range, so I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next battle, see Annihilate in the lead, which did get nerfed this season, but the opponent is still using it, and they're going to swap into a Feraligatr. So once again, I don't really have an answer to Feraligatr in my backline. I've been a little bit fortunate really that I've seen a lot of them swapping into my Enamorus when they are behind on energy. Not maybe the best team building on my end, but it still worked out for me, so it is what it is. We are now going to fire off another Grass Knot here. Honestly, I'm not very familiar with this matchup, so I don't know at what range will we put them into Fly range here, so I am just going to play it safe and always just go for the Grass Knot. Maybe Fly would have got the KO from this range. Fly, a very strong charge move, and it does get stabbed, but either way, that's fine. They're going to come in with Giratina. Maybe I should have banked the charge move before swapping out there. That might be a slight mistake, because if the opponent comes back in with the Annihilate and they go for a full counter farm down, I might be in trouble, but going to fire off the Crunch straight away. Crunch does some decent damage, and the opponent isn't going to commit to the full farm down here, which is huge for me. Ice Punch gets the KO there. Fine with me. We can come back in with the Enamorus. I will wait out the Switch Shock here, as I should be able to swap out by the time I throw this charge move now. So gonna fire off the Fly, and then I will swap immediately into my Gigalith, and we should be okay here. Of course, Mud Slaps are non-stab, so not dealing that much damage, but Meteor Beam is one of the best charge moves in the entire game. The opponent makes the mistake of going for a Shadow Sneak there, which does the same damage as a Dragon Claw, but it does cost more energy, so not the right play. But you can see Meteor Beam pretty much one-shots them from that range, so the opponent just concedes the match there. Into the next battle, going to see a Roserade in the lead, and honestly, I had no clue what fast move they were running initially. I was going to stay in if they were running a Grass-type fast move, which they are in Razor Leaf, but if they were running Poison Jab, honestly, I would not have been able to swap out for quite a while there because I had weak connection, but I'm able to make it to back-to-back flies here. Honestly, I was a little bit concerned if they didn't throw a charge move, I might not even make it to another fly here, because you see, we are taking a lot of damage, but the opponent makes a brilliant catch there, catching the fly onto Empoleon, but we're going to swap swap into our Gigalith here, and this might seem like a strange decision, but basically I realized that I can go for the full Mud Slap farm down and then fire off the Meteor Beam into the Roserade, which I assume is going to come back in here, and it does come back in. So Meteor Beam, we've seen already, will do huge damage. It actually gets the KO up against the Roserade. We boost our attack, unfortunately only making it to a double resisted superpower, but this is absolutely fine. This chip damage should actually put them into range where a Crunch from my Crocodile will pretty much get the one shot, so that's fine with me. Going to, of course, have no shields remaining. They're going to go for Dragon Claw there. Doesn't deal that much damage. They also don't throw it on perfect timing there, but it doesn't really make a difference here. I can go for one extra Mud Slap, fire off the Crunch, and Crunch from this range actually barely doesn't get the KO, but one more Mud Slap does the job, and I'm able to take that game. So GG stood up over there into next battle. We see Enamorus into Cresselia. So Cresselia is a little bit of an awkward matchup here, just because basically if they're running Future Sight, then that's pretty much going to one-shot us, even though it did get nerfed this season. Even a Moonblast is going to do a lot of damage, and you can see Flies, whilst they do pretty good damage into most Pokemon, Cresselia is not most Pokemon. It is super bulky, so unfortunately not ideal as well, because if I swap out, then I'm probably going to take a Grass Knot onto one of my back Pokemon. So either way, we've already used the shield here. I'm not going to bother shielding this time around. The opponent goes for the Moonblast there. I'm going to swap into Crocodile, thinking I can go for a farm down, but I'm actually not able to get that farm down before they make it to a last second Grass Knot. I'm just going to no shield at this point, go for that Mud Slap farm down, and they're going to come in with a Giratina. Honestly, this is not that bad for me. And at this point I'm thinking, you know what, we've already seen two bulky legendary Pokemon. They're probably running like, I don't know, Registeel in the bag. That would make the most sense. We've seen this team a lot in previous seasons, so it might be the case here. So at this point, we are going to wait out Switch will come in with the Gigalith, and the opponent will fire off a Charge Move. Of course, not going to shield this up if it is the Registeel in the back. Again, they go for Shadow Sneak, which doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. And this also doesn't make too much sense here, going for a Meteor Beam, except for the fact that I realised they're probably going to shield anyways. Yes, it does cost more energy, but it ramps up my attack stat, which is very nice. The opponent goes for a Zap Cannon, and unfortunately does debuff my attack there, but it doesn't really matter. We are going to swap and make a catch onto my Enamorus there, catching the Charge Move. They go for the Zap Cannon, and again, we've got back-to-back superpowers here, but I don't really want to debuff my attack and my defense, because it's going to be quite hard to take out that Giratina. So instead, we're going to fire off back-to-back Meteor Beams here. Two of these will be enough damage to take out the Registeel, and then these boosted Mud Slaps will be enough to get the farm down up against the Giratina, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to up on there. Into next battle, we see Pangoro in the lead, so an amazing lead matchup for us. I don't know why they're staying in. Don't really know why they're throwing a Charge Move either, but they're going to go for a Night Slash. Night Slash actually does some decent damage there considering it's resisted, but we are very glassy. We're going to fire off a Grass Knot and then just swap into our Crocodile, and this way I can guarantee I can take this matchup here. I don't have to use a shield. Trailblaze will of course hit for super effective damage, but I can go for a full Mud Slap farm down, and if they come back in with the Pangoro, I can of course go for Brick Breaks. They're going to hit for super effective damage, and the Fairy Wind damage has already put them into the yellow health range, so we're probably going to grab both shields from the Pangoro here, which is very nice. Brick Break number 2 grabs his final shield from the opponent there. They do swap out into Typhlosion, but this game is absolutely over. At this point I'm thinking, you know what, they are actually going to overfarm massively, farming up to a potential Solar Beam, so I might as well play it safe. They go for a Thunder Punch there, and at this point we can just safely let the next move go through. Going to go for a full Mud Slap farm down. I'm going to come out with back-to-back superpowers already loaded. The opponent recognising there's nothing they can do, so they just concede the match there. So GG's to open there. Into next battle, we see Zarude in the lead. So a bit of a spicy Pokemon here. Very lucky for us because it's a very... Okay, this is just an amazing hard counter matchup for us so far. As we're going to swap into our Crocodile, go for the full Mud Slap farm down, and they've got Lucario in the back. So this is already game over. Going for the Brick Break. Brick Break is going to drop their defense. We make it to another Brick Break. Probably going to grab the final shield from the opponent. It does grab that final shield. They get the counter farm down, but that's absolutely okay. I'm going to fully sacrifice my Gigalith at this point. We're going to no shield here. If they go for something like a close combat, then fair enough, but it's just the power up punch. It doesn't do much damage. We can swap immediately into Enamorus, go straight for the Fly. Fly gets the one shot up against Zarude, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next battle, we see Walrein in the lead, and this was the first battle where I was like, oh wait, we're core broken by an ice type. I'm actually going to swap into my Crocodile, and of course, yes, we are still taking super effective damage here, but I can fire off these Brick Breaks. Brick Break will drop their defense. They're probably going to shield as well, just because they do want to make sure they take out our Crocodile, and we're going to double shield as well, which is a bit questionable here, but of course, we're going to probably grab a shield back from the opponent, so I don't mind that too much. Brick Break does grab the shield, and you can see my switch clock is already up. I could have, if I wanted to, try to catch the move onto my Gigalith there, but I didn't really see the need to. Instead, gonna come in with the Gigalith. Unfortunately, they've got a Scizor in the back, so not looking great for my Enamorus so far. Gonna fire off the Fly though. Fly does big damage up against the Scizor. They possibly could have committed to a full Bullet Punch farm down there, but I think I would have made it to another Fly. So instead, they fire off the charge move. We come back in with the Gigalith here, and honestly, I had two thoughts. Either I could go for a full Mud Slap farm down, tank an Icicle Spear, and maybe one-shot something in the back, and that's what I should have done because I actually looked this up afterwards. Apparently, a Meteor Beam from a Gigalith up against the Gengar does exactly 100% of its health there in the Ultra League, so I could have won that game if I committed to the Mud Slap farm down and fired off the Meteor Beam, but unfortunately, didn't know what was in the back. I thought maybe if I boost up my attack, we could superpower something and maybe win that game. But GG's anyways, that was my first loss with this team. But into next battle, we're going to see Enamorus into a Greninja. So this should be a good matchup, but unfortunately, even though we are very spammy, they are even spammier here. And they are also going to bait with a Night Slash, which is very unfortunate. We're going to fire off a Fly here. Fly is going to grab the shield, and then I'm actually going to swap and catch the charge move onto my Gigalith. This seems very strange because, of course, Hydro Cannon is going to deal big damage, but we actually get a simultaneous KO, which works out pretty well for me. So at this point, the opponent's actually going to come in straight away with their Skeledirge. By the way, if you get a simultaneous KO, you should try and wait out as long as possible there, because otherwise I can just see what you came in with and come in with the Pokemon to deal with that. Although, unfortunately for them, my Crocodile kind of deals with both Pokemon, but definitely not when all shields are down. So, we're going to go for the next Brick Break, swap and catch the charge move onto my Enamorus. And they actually go for the Focus Blast this time around. Of course, they were not going to go for a Zap Cannon when it is double resisted. But now I can actually farm two back-to-back charge moves here. First one, going to be taking out the Registeel. I can go for one extra Fairy Wind, fire off the Fly here. And whilst in the Great League, a Disarming Voice probably would take us out there, from this range in the Ultra League, it wouldn't quite take us out. So the opponent goes for the extra Incinerate, but unfortunately, we're able to Mud Slap, farm them down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG started training there. Into next battle, we see a Nidoqueen in the lead. Not great, going to say swap into Gigalith, and unfortunately went with a Poliwrath. So things are not looking great so far. Of course, both Nidoqueen and Poliwrath have been nerfed in, well, I'd say recent seasons, but Nidoqueen was nerfed quite a while ago. But still, up against this team in this alignment, is going to be able to take me out here. So unfortunately, they come out with so much loaded energy. They can, of course, go for Icy Winds. I can live one, so I'm going to no-shit the first charge move here. As the opponent goes for the Icy Wind, they're not going to be able to counter farm me down, but because they're going to double debuff my attack, I also won't be able to go for a Fairy Wind farm down either, which isn't really ideal. It will mean that I'm going to have to throw a charge move here to get rid of them. Could have actually overfarmed by one more and farmed up to the back-to-back charge moves, but anyways, going to swap into my Crocodile, and they've got a Guzzlord in the back. So honestly, I probably need to grab a shield straight away, and unfortunately they do no shield that. They live a Brick Break fairly comfortably. I'm going to shield this as the opponent goes for a Brutal Swing there, probably running Brutal Swing and Sludge Bomb, otherwise you would just go for the Dragon Claw. But either way, we go for another Brick Break. They actually let that go through. If I'm able to make it to a charge move here, then I think I possibly could have grabbed the final shield, but unfortunately the opponent outpaces me to the Earth Power. I can make it to a Fly, but Fly is just going to grab a shield, and the opponent does use their shield there. The Poison Jab takes us out, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG start up there into the final battle of this video, leading into Pangoro, and the opponent's going to safe swap into a Snarl Incineroar, so absolutely fine with me. Going to go straight for the Fly, dealing big damage, and then I'm going to swap, trying to catch the Blast Burn onto my Gigalith. The opponent does go for the Blast Burn there. We can now go for the Mud Slap farm down, and we are one away from a superpower, but the opponent comes in with a Feraligatr, so actually going to commit to the Meteor Beam here. Meteor Beam is going to grab a shield from the opponent. They are going to overfarm, but not by too much, so just going to let the Gigalith go down at this point as they go for a Hydro Cannon. We can now come in with the Crocodile here, which might seem like a strange decision as this is not a good matchup for us, but I realise, of course, they've got Pangoro in the back, which we completely destroy with our Enamorus, so I'm going to go and fire off the Brick Break here just before they make it to the next charge move. They swap into Pangoro, they try to snipe there, but I'm able to swap just in time, catch the close combat onto our Enamorus, and look at the Fairy Wind damage there, it looks like Charm. Oh my gosh, excuse the voice crack there, that was insane damage, and now we can go for the Fairy Wind farm down. We actually chose not to shield there just for the sake of it. We can now go for the Grass Knot, taking out Feraligatr, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.